That's crazy. And if you're in a finale encounter, you will go to speed of 0 to make this thing work, right? Getting
Oh
to
yeah.
choose 5 outcomes is insanity. Like, that is 5 every round. You can choose what succeeds and what fails. You can choose what saves matter and what fail, right? And that's just like completely and utterly busted. Now,
Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we continue along the wizard path. Today we'll be discussing the Chronurgy magic wizard.
boop, 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 back in time and then forward in time, or whatever. That's what this is supposed to be doing.
Something like that.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I think time magic is really, really tough.
I think they
Like,
did a good job with it, though, in this one.
we'll talk about it as we go through it. I largely
Yep.
just features like Portent are what I think of when I think of time manipulation, right? Things that augment dice are what I think of with it.
Yes.
And I don't love that interpretation. I never really have. In a game that has the literal ability to retcon things by just being like, we can talk about that moment in time and say I did this instead. I do actually think there's a window for real time adjusting kind of features. Now, tracking things like going back around, that's awful. That's miserable. Not doable in a non-video game. Not easily doable in a non-video game, I should say. But I do think like we might be able to expand Chronurgy beyond just dice augmentation. I don't know if this necessarily sticks the landing. Also, I don't know if
All
it's
right.
like
Well,
all time stuff here, but no good.
I was just thinking, it was limited to dice manipulation, and that's the least complicated time thing you can do. So, and this, I feel it's balanced here. It's not like insanely powerful, but it's powerful enough to where it'll be fun to use.
Yeah, I can imagine that. Let's dive in. So we start with normally wizards start with like I get to add things to my spellbook for free, and then people ignore that feature for the whole time they play the game because
Yeah.
I've no matter how many times I DM, I think I've seen like one wizard in all of my years actually try and seek out a spell to add to their spellbook. It just never happens. So you don't necessarily need more, and you don't really necessarily think about it either because you take the spells that you want. So then you're like, well, what spells do I? Not important. What is here instead is temporal awareness. So this is the second feature you get that is like the simpler one. It says starting at second level, you can add your intelligence modifier to your initiative rolls. Okay.
Yeah, you're not a huge fan of initiative, but I
I
like
mean,
it, and especially if I'm a wizard and I want to be casting some bigger spells. I like anything that allows me to jump the gun.
I think on particularly full casters, earlier initiative will often sway encounters further because you have the giant AoE saber dice, right? You have
Yeah,
the webs and the fears and the even like banishment polymorph. You want to get it down before things get a chance to act.
right.
This stacked with alert is plus 10 to your initiative. Plus a dex mod means you can usually beat most things in initiative, which means you can pretty consistently do the really like quantifiably known powerful stuff. And I do think that might get kind of boring pretty quickly because you're like, all right, new encounter. I cast hypnotic pattern. All right, new encounter. I cast hypnotic pattern. All right, new encounter. I cast hypnotic pattern. That's just what the first round every time looks like.
Right.
I don't think that's that fun. But hey, that some people might really enjoy that. That's just not really for me. And
Well, I
also
mean,
like
that's on you. You gotta mix it up a little
why well what incentive do I have to do that?
because you're bored.
Okay, that's a good incentive. I personally would do it differently. I don't necessarily love whenever people that have different kinds of fun experiences.
Right.
Like if this encourages a play pattern that I would guess a lot of people do not find that fun, and the people that do find it fun are heavily encouraged to continue to loop it because it's powerful,
Even if
right?
they do find it fun, the rest of the party might get bored with it.
Yeah, and grown and
Yeah.
it's that's neither here nor there. I don't think that's going to be most of the time. What happens with this, the average character is probably not going to use it for that same thing over and over again. But I usually stand that like the initiative system is broken and this exacerbates the problem. It doesn't really improve it. The other feature you get though is a lot more interesting. So it's called Chronal Shift. So I say a lot more interesting. At second level, you can magically exert limited control over the flow of time around a creature. As a reaction after you or a creature you can see within 30 feet of you makes an attack roll, an ability check, or saving throw. You can force it to reroll. You can make this decision after you see whether the roll succeeded or failed. The target must use the result of the second roll. You can use the ability twice and get it back when you finish a long rest. I do think this is pretty powerful. I do think
Yeah.
this is like a genuinely useful feature. It if they make a roll with advantage or disadvantage, that applies to the secondary roll as well. So it is worse at mitigating advantage attack rolls. It's better at mitigating disadvantage attack rolls. So it's a way to say we got unlucky. I'd like to try again. And then that in that situation, you're a lot more favored. There is a little bit of skill expression to be seen with this kind of feature. That being said, it's not like the most riveting thing in the world as far as looks. It's just like I reroll that, and I see like Silvery Barbs does that, and a lot of other like known quantifiably powerful features do that, and they all seem to me like mocking. Like Vicious Mockery gives a dividend on a roll, right? That feels more like lucky, changes die result and stuff. Time is a little bit different for me with this outcome, but this is pretty close to maybe
Well,
the
I mean, the
fantasy.
way it's explained, I feel
Yeah.
like this thing happened, and now I'm saying I'm reversing time, like stop, rewind,
Yes.
play, and
Yes.
different outcome.
Bob, have you ever considered going full time as a person that mimics the voice of VHS tapes getting rewound? Because that was incredible.
Thank you.
That was like 10 out of 10, no notes.
Oh,
Absolutely
all right.
stunning. But yeah, that I do think that is what it sells, and I think it sells that well enough that I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know. I'm always going to be lukewarm or lower on features that change dice outcomes is all we do. Just because like I want to do new stuff, I want to do cool stuff, I want to spawn creatures or blow things up or slip through a wall or experience
Yeah,
magic in a way that isn't just changing a outcome on a die.
it's changing time.
That's the sold fantasy, but
It
I don't
sold
know.
me.
It's in my head. Yeah, that's good. That's good. It half sells me. It's better than like Lucky is.
Yeah.
In any case, we move on to our 6th level feature because this is just like a solid little 2nd level feature. You get 2 uses of it. It's good. You'll use it a lot, but you're not gonna find it hard to use both of these.
No.
Momentary stasis is our 6th level feature. When you reach 6th level, as an action, you can magically force a larger, smaller creature you can see within 60 feet to make a con save against your spell save DC, unless the saving throw is a success. If the creature is encased in a field of magical energy until the end of your next turn or until the creature takes any damage, while encased this way, it is incapacitated and has a speed of 0. You can use this feature number of times equal to your int mod and get them all back when you finish a long rest. This
I
feature
think
is kind of insane.
every other feature says on a failed save. This one,
Yeah,
unless the saving throw is a success, it threw me off until I read
that
it a couple of
literally
times.
that's just a quality control issue, right? The editor fucked
Yeah.
up, and that's why this is the way it is. I'm pretty sure, right? That's like a Google search would have given them the correct formatting for this. Anyway, you get what it does. You get what it means.
Yeah.
I think more so than a lot of other options, this really asks you as a wizard, find good bonus action spells. Because with Momentary Stasis, you have a good action that is no concentration that is powerful. And now you're encouraged to say, okay, I want something that's high level to use my bonus action all the time. This alongside Misty Step is a really convenient and powerful turn, right? This takes turns where you need to just move away and cast a cantrip, which can feel kind of mediocre. Well, now you move away and you or you incapacitate something. That's pretty
Yeah.
powerful.
Well, I mean,
Pretty sweet.
if you're incapacitated, do you really need to move away?
It depends on what you're incapacitating. Like maybe there's 3 ogres kicking the crap
Yeah.
out of everybody. The one's beating your ass, so you teleport away from that one. The one that the fighters or that's like killing the cleric or whatever, you go, I incapacitate that one. Everyone team up on the 3rd one, and you can have this cool little cinematic planning high. Like it'll make you feel smart if you can find that
Yeah.
exact circumstance to kind of play together, right?
But yeah, you can definitely do fun stuff with this. But also, it sold me on the fantasy. Like I
Yeah, this
am
would definitely be
stopping time for this creature.
absolutely. I agree. This is 100% what I would want this to be doing as far as like uh thematics. Notably, incapacitated doesn't make anyone take crits or anything like that. It can't take attacks or reactions. That's all the incapacitated condition does. So it could hypothetically move, but it sets the speed to 0. So it cannot move, it cannot take actions, or cannot take reactions when it's incapacitated with this feature. That's the point.
Right.
Uh, it's neat. It's pretty good. An action is a lot, but like, I think this is another feature you're not going to necessarily struggle to find ways to use.
Well, no,
10th
not
level.
at all.
Yeah.
There's one way to use it.
Yeah, and like again, I definitely would recommend investing in some bonus action options for this thing to be particularly strong.
Yeah, because I'm actually impressed with like how many times you could use this. Like this
Yeah,
felt like
5 is a lot.
yeah.
Especially if you're doing like one encounter per long rest. It's just gonna be like this round of paralyze that thing, this round of paralyze or incapacitate that thing. If you could even like against singular monsters just chain it. Right? Just be like, I incapacitate it, go. I incapacitate it, go. I incapacitate it, go. And as long as you can stack it so it goes in between actions, like everyone just readies their turn for its turn to be over, then just wails into it. You go next, incapacitated. Everyone readies their actions.
Yeah.
You can do some cheesy stuff with it, sure, for sure. 10th level
Speaking of
gives
cheese,
is Arcane
is it
Abeyance
this
a no
next one?
cheese feature? I don't know. I haven't read this thing since I wrote the review on it. At 10th level with Arcane Abeyance. Abeyance, that's how you say that, right?
Sure.
Sure, let's go with that. At 10th level, when you cast a spell using a spell slot of 4th level or lower, you can condense the spell's magic into a mote. Oh yeah, this seems like cheese written all over it. The
Oh,
spell
yes.
is frozen in time at the moment of casting and held within a gray bead for an hour. The bead is a tiny object with AC of 15 and 1 hit point and is immune to poison and psychic damage. When the duration ends, or if the bead is destroyed, it vanishes in a flash of light and the spell is lost. A creature holding the bead can use action to release the spell within. Oh boy, until when we're upon the beat, it disappears. The spell uses your spell attack bonus and save DC, and the spell treats the creature who released it as the caster for all other purposes. Once you make a beat with this, you can't again until you make a short or finish a short or long rest.
All right,
Okay,
so it's not as bad as I
yeah.
thought because I thought you can just like give everybody in the party a fireball, but no,
What I think this does do in a really convenient fashion is give you someone else the ability to concentrate on one of your spells, and that's pretty
that's true
powerful,
too.
right?
Yeah,
Like you can kind of have two decent concentration 4th level spells up. I could see this as a way to duplicate a summon effect. Like you give this to your ranger, they cast it to get a summon beast, or not a summon beast, a summon shadow spawn, right? And then you have your own summon shadow spawn, and now you've doubled the amount of summon shadow spawns in space, and have both characters concentrating it, and that's great. That's very very powerful, right?
yes.
That's
Especially
like
if you've already got, one of those duration non-concentration spells going along with a concentration spell, and now you've got another concentration spell going.
yeah, just start layering things, right?
Nuts. Yeah.
You can probably do like we talk a lot about the push pull build garbage, where it's like you have to get so many people to collaborate. Well, now you get both the concentration area damage and the concentration push people around. Because you can make someone else do it. You go here. I have taken both these features. I will make this work, and I will kick and scream until it works right. And it'll be a couple encounters, but you'll get to come together once. I'm sure. That's kind of neat, right? You take Gust of Wind and I don't know, Wall of Fire or something like that.
Sure.
There's probably some other powerful stuff that can be done here. I'm guessing summoning magic is one of the more powerful options, right? Like, imagine giving someone a second copy Conjure Minor Elementals.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Got
This is pretty
what,
good.
88 pixies running around.
Oh boy. The
Oh,
spell
that's
level
woodland
limitation.
beings.
Yeah, Woodland Being is Pixies. This is the Minor Elementals methods, but the
Yeah.
level limitation on this does feel actually relatively fair. It is a powerful 10th level feature. It does still cost you a spell slot, and because it has the hour-long duration and refreshes on short rest, it's not really easy to get more of these. You
Yeah.
could catnap to get more of these, and catnapping to get more of these now gives you 3 of the duplicated concentration effect, and that's why I hate catnap. So instead, we can look towards other like more fair options. Again, fair being duplicating concentration, which is always powerful, but they're still like that character is concentrating on it, so they can't concentrate on other things. It'll be party dependent. Oftentimes, this is going to be really shiny when you've got a rogue, a monk, again, a
Right. You got
ranger.
marshals that aren't using concentration for anything, then have at it.
You want marshals that aren't getting hit, right? That is somewhat of a differentiating factor. Like
That's true.
barbarians can't
Yeah.
concentrate on spells. Fighters tend to want to get damage. Same with paladins. They also can concentrate on things, right? Like there is going to be a little bit of push pull with this, but it does make it a deeply interesting feature. I don't at all feel like it has anything to do with time. It just says you freeze a spell in time, but it just feels like you're duplicating a spell,
Yeah.
like practically, right? But
This one,
powerful
this one
feature.
doesn't necessarily sell the fantasy for me, but it is cool and powerful.
Yes, I think this is like a fixed version of the contingency. This is kind of what it feels like to me. This is what a fair version of it should look like, because it actually like has a
Yeah.
cost and is a feature, not a spell. We end on Convergent Future, so starting at 14th level, you can peer through possible futures and magically pull one of them into events around you, ensuring a particular outcome. That's a terrifying word to hear.
Yes.
When you or a creature you can see within 60 feet of you makes an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw, you can use your reaction to ignore the die roll and decide whether the number rolled is the minimum needed to succeed or less than that number by 1. Your choice.
I don't understand that.
So it either succeeds by matching the DC, or it
Yeah.
fails by missing the DC by 1. That is
All
what
right.
the determined outcomes are. So let's say, Bob, you have a creature that's making a saving throw against your hold person. You
Yes.
can choose to have their saving throw equal the roll, the
Yes.
DC. So they would pass or they would fail it under your DC by 1. So they would fail it. Alternatively, your paladin gets save or died. They get, held person. You can have their save, no roll, instead to match the saving throw of the caster. Does that make
All right.
sense-ish?
Yes, but why by 1 less?
Just it's auto. It gives a deterministic option. It's not a critical failure if people are doing critical failure tables. It's not a critical success. People are doing critical success table or
Why? But
tables, right?
why not just you can decide whether they pass or fail?
I don't know, but they opted to make it a result, and I think that also will have this matters for re-rolling stuff. I would guess dice manipulation stuff. I would guess if people could I don't know. There's probably a reason. I don't know what it is on top of my
Like
head,
a
but it
bless kind of
gives
thing, or
because it changes result. Ignore the die roll and decide whether the number rolled is the
all
minimum
right. So
needed
the
to
number
succeed or roll
rolled.
miss.
So if there's
Yes.
anything enhancing that number, then it's just straight up not going to work.
No, so it, for example, you have a +5 to your ogre has +5 to hit. Your AC is 10.
Yes.
It would ensure the number on the die is a 4 because 4 plus its +5 to hit is 9, and 9 is 1 under your AC. So the number rolled is 4 after modifiers, right?
Yes.
So if you add the bless modifiers onto that and stuff like that, right, it would ensure it misses still. I would rule that as, right? I would say the maximum it could be is 9. The minimum result it would need to miss, guaranteed, with the bless result and everything, would be, a 1. It would roll a 1 for the outcome. If something cannot miss, it hits, right? Like if something has a +25 to hit, there is no outcome that changes that. It will connect. That's
All right.
also
So
how I read this
I'm
feature.
trying to think of why this would matter then.
If something has a +25 to hit, it doesn't work on it, would be a reasoning, right? There is no outcome that would cause it to miss.
Okay. Yeah.
Maybe. This is one of those features that wasn't designed within Wizards of the Coast, so it isn't necessarily coherent within the rules, necessarily.
All right.
Listen, that's what we got. At minimum, you get the gist of it. At 99% of cases, it is you choose if it passes or fails, or succeeds, or hits or misses, or whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Undoubtedly, that's absurdly broken, right?
Sure. Yeah.
It also so first level of exhaustion doesn't necessarily really matter because that's just disadvantage on ability checks, and you're a wizard, so who gives a crap? So then the first use of this is kind of free. The second use of this is a little bit more extensive. So if I pull up the exhaustion rules, let me get the second result. So second point of exhaustion is your speed is halved. It also doesn't necessarily matter. The third one, though, is disadvantage on saving throws and attack rolls, and that one I think does matter quite a bit. So I think you're going to often find you've got 1 to 2 of these per long rest, and then the rest, then you shrug off 1 level of exhaustion. That's crazy. And if you're in a finale encounter, you will go to speed of 0 to make this thing work, right? Getting
Oh
to
yeah.
choose 5 outcomes is insanity. That is 5 every round. You can choose what succeeds and what fails. You can choose what saves matter and what fail, right? And that's just completely and utterly busted. Now, important rules point. I do believe a creature with legendary resistance can still opt to automatically pass, but you would definitely need to consult with your DM and the internet about that because I don't know if that is set in stone. If this can cause legendary resistance to not work, this is one of, if not the most broken feature in the game. I want to make that abundantly clear because legendary resistance is one of the very few release valves for how obnoxiously powerful spellcasting saber dies are. And if this stops them from working, well, no big bad is safe from point or click, you die. And that's a problem in D&D. So it shouldn't work that way if it does work that way. But yeah, this feature is not okay. Probably shouldn't have been printed if I'm going to be honest with you.
Well, all in all, where does that put you on Chronurgy Magic Wizard?
I hate dice manipulation like this, and that's kind of all this does. Wizards are already obnoxiously powerful. Stapling more dice manipulation to that is really, really good. I think this probably gets an A on power, but
yeah, easy.
It doesn't have a dead feature anywhere. I don't love the plus initiative, but it is actually undoubtedly powerful, specifically tied to wizard. specifically tied to a wizard that gets to choose to make things guarantee fail their saving throws. So you are going to have real encounters where round one, the most important thing in the encounter is held. It just is. It auto fails my polymorph. It auto fails my banishment. There's no choice of the matter. That just guarantee happens. That level of certainty can be miserable, right?
Yeah. I think this might be fun to play once, and then maybe your DM will ban it. But I think this is one of the most powerful subclasses in the game.
I think this has the potential to be really obnoxious.
Yes.
I agree with you. The fact, like, there's just not a lot. There's also not a lot of this that, to me, makes me feel like I'm doing cool timey-wimey stuff, specifically with Convergent Future. It feels really just gamey. I can envision a lot of people being like, I don't give a shit about time. I just want the busted features. And you're
Yes.
playing the bare bones Evoker Wizard, and you've forgotten that you're supposed to be time-related, right? Because
Right.
you just take all the best wizard spells, you just do all the quantifiably broken wizard stuff. Like, we talked about Conjure Minor Elementals, we talked about Hold Person, we talked about Fear, we talked about, or even more than Hold Person, Hypnotic Pattern, we talked about, like, the bread or butter busted spells are better with this. So if you want to play the Wizard Plus, this seems kind of like how you do it. And for that reason, I don't like that it exists. I think this is a huge miss. I would have loved to see like ways to like an ability that you go back to where you were 2 turns ago on the map, and then you as the wizard have to track that location. And now, sure, that's a huge headache, but that is a cool time feature, right? Like you walk back in time as your teleport. That could be really cool. I would love to see them really play with it more than that auto fails, that auto passes, that has to reroll. Like, really?
Yeah, but like what you're suggesting, as you said, does seem very difficult to do and
Yeah.
would really slow the game down.
I will take really slowing the game down over every encounter kind of looks the same. And I think this option will definitely make every counter kind of look the same.
Yeah. And you're right about Convergent Future. Like by the time we got to that feature, I forgot all about time. The earlier features, I felt the time manipulation. But yeah.
The one that sells the best is Momentary Stasis, and that is just a Saber die. Like, why are we just... We're like, hey, what if Wizards only did Saber dies? It's kind of what this feels like. Form of Elementals flying around from 2 different places. Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, undoubtedly powerful.
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Comments, let us know. Maybe we're way off. Maybe this is actually not that great. Maybe you've played it and you love it. Maybe all encounters do look different. Let us know in the comments down below what you think about it. Is the levels of exhaustion a balancing lever for Convergent Future? Because it sure doesn't feel that way to me.
Not really. Yeah, it's just like, I mean, like any other capstone feature, you get it once per long rest. Only here, you can go beyond that if you want.
The other thing, like, right, if you're at the end of a dungeon and you know you got a week of downtime after it,
yeah,
I'm going to half speed. I might go to half max HP if I'm going to be honest with you. Like, as long as you're not dead, you get 5 uses out of this thing. At the end of a fight, you can be like, oh yeah, all we need you to do is hit. Yeah, sure, you hit. We did it. Who needs to roll?
Gotta sleep well tonight.
Yeah. You just
All
carry the
right,
wizard back over your shoulder.
That was Chronurgy Magic Wizard. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for joining us. Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.